spring was from my bedroom, and I didn't need my students seeing that. So I created a photo behind me.
Yes, because you can create a whole world.
Yeah, that was like the first thing I learned. I'm like, okay, 30 years in, I'm a first-year teacher all over again.
It's so true, because like I did a couple meetings and I used this background, and everyone, wait, I'll show you which background I used. I used this background and everyone was like, wow, look at your house. And I'm like, it's not my house, no. Not my house at all. It's all smoke and mirrors. Okay. So, just to give you, oh my gosh, everyone's coming in. Here we go. Okay. All right, everybody. So just to give you some background, in case you don't know who I am, what I do, I am a Spanish teacher in Dudley, Massachusetts. I teach middle school grades 6, 7, and 8. And I think that I'm probably pretty much in the same boat as everyone right now, as we're trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do? No matter what we end up with, what are we going to do with what we end up with? Today is just, I've had a lot of people say that they've seen me do a lot of my tech stuff, but it goes over their heads. So I would like to take time, oh, I've got people in the waiting room. I would like to take some time today to answer some basic questions, and then we can take it up a notch if people have more specific questions. I encourage you to.
All right, I'm in a Zoom meeting right now, so.
Okay. So interrupt me if you need to.
Okay.
If you've got stuff going on in your background, go ahead and mute, and feel free to unmute yourself as you need to. And that is what we're going to do. All right. So stop me if you have questions. Now, I am working in Zoom. And in Zoom, you have a more robust experience. There are some people that are going to be limited to Google Meet, and I will talk about that briefly and fix some of your problems that you're dealing with, but you do have more options in Zoom. If Zoom is available to you, I highly, highly recommend it. And if, there's, you can do breakout rooms, it's easier to do backgrounds. You can do backgrounds in Google Meet, but it's just, you got to work at it a little bit more. But I will explain all of that to you. All right, so for starters, I am going to share my desktop with you so that you can see everything that I have going on. All right, and so let's see, what are we seeing right now? New share. I'm going to show you this. So if I have all of my people, I have all of you here. Now, what I have at the bottom of my screen, can everyone see my little bar across the bottom here? Yes, you can see my bar. It is there. Okay. Make sure that you are, so Tara, you can't see look at do you see I've got a cursor running along the bottom of the pictures? Yes, you see it now? Okay, good. Now, what I need for you to understand is some of the basics here. I personally am working with an external camera, but an internal camera on your computer is just fine for what you need. I was just blessed with somebody that gave me one to use, okay? So I didn't spend any money on that. Now, if you look at the bottom here, I can see my participants. And with my participants, I can, let's see, I popped out my chat. So hold on one second. I popped out my chat. And I didn't mean to. Oh, I've got people waiting. There we go. Admit all. I've got a couple coming in. Okay, so at the bottom here, I have the ability to check out a lot of things. I've got the chat. Now, a lot of people think when I do my chat that I can't see it if I share my screen. You can. You can do it. And what I'm gonna show you, sorry, no, I can't see the Zoom bar. Okay, you can see it. All right, is there anybody that still cannot see my Zoom bar when I have my cursor on it? Oh.
You can't see the Zoom bar as a participant. You can only see it as a presenter.
Okay, but if I share my desktop, you should be able to see it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So what I need you to understand is with the chat, when you're going to share your screen, before you do it, click chat and you can pop out. You're looking for the words pop out. Or you can just grab your chat by the top bar and you can drag it. Okay, can you see me moving around my chat bar, my chat room? I have disconnected it from, okay, I'm gonna go back in because with my screen share, let's see, new share, okay, stop share, okay. So I'm gonna show you this, my other screen so that you can see it, but I apologize, I did think you could see that, so my chat, I'm going to put my chat on the other screen. Can you see the chat on that now? You can. Okay. That doesn't matter. But what you can do, the important thing to remember with the chat is that you can hit pop out and see it throughout. All right? So you can have interaction with your kids throughout your meeting. It doesn't disappear. You can just pull it off to the side and save it so that it's open and you can see what's going on. So like I see Rihanna said she can't see my Zoom bar. You guys can't see that, but I can see it, okay? Now, also on my Zoom bar is, and you guys can all try this with me if you have not done backgrounds, you can do the stop, where it says stop video on your bar, stop video, there's a down arrow right there. And with the down arrow, it's going to allow you the options of choosing a different camera or doing some video settings. You don't need to worry about that. Go to choose virtual background when you do it. Now, when you choose your virtual background, okay, and when you do your virtual background, you can, I want to make sure which screen. Are you seeing the screen with my backgrounds on it, with my settings? No? Are you seeing you're seeing my Google Meet page, correct? Yes, okay. So when you open the settings and you go to this choose virtual background, there is a plus sign at the top right. That is where you can select a background for yourself. Now, if you can see that on your own screen at the bottom, there are two settings. I have a green screen, mirror my video. Here are two things to consider as you're doing it. And I like Rebecca's background. That's fun. Here's two things I want you to think about. We've been doing a lot with fun backgrounds, right? Crazy ones. Disney's got all these fun free ones out there, and those are fun to use with your students. If you're looking at my screen right now, I'll stop share for right now so you can see me. I mean, we've got so many fun options that we can do with Zoom. But what I want you to think about is it's easier, people wanting to come in, it's easier to connect with me when I'm right here with you. When I share my screen, imagine it as a kid, there's a bit of a disconnect because they've got me as a little tiny screen up in the corner, right? And then they've got to focus on the PowerPoint and on me. So now they're splitting their attention. So what I want to point out is you can use your PowerPoint presentations or your keynote presentations or your Google presentations as your background. And super easy to make these backgrounds, like I put, I make word walls for myself. So now as I teach, and whatever, if you're teaching vocabulary for your elementary kids, or if you're teaching language or whatever you're doing, and you've got stuff that you want them to focus on, you can put it right here behind you instead of on a separate screen. And now as I talk, I can point to what I need. Now, here comes in what I was talking about with the green screen and the mirror my video. As I am looking at my screen right now, I have checked off mirror my video. Why? As I'm looking at this, it's all backwards for me. You guys all see it forward. I'm seeing it backwards. And the reason I'm doing it backward is that I'm not as good as the weather people. When they do it, and they're like, they have to point over here for what's over there. They have to do it backwards. So if I look at it backwards, I'm pointing to exactly where the word is on my screen. I've got to do a little bit more brain switching if I don't mirror my screen. It's easier for me to read backwards than it is to get my brain to switch and turn off the mirroring. That's a personal choice. I would recommend that if you're going to do something where you need to point, try it, start your own fake Zoom meeting, and click off mirror my video and see how you do with reading backwards. And then unclick mirror my video and see how hard it is to point the opposite direction. Okay? So I would recommend that you try that out and see if one way is easier than the other for you. All right.
So you're using your Google slide or PowerPoint or whatever as your background?
Yes, and I'm going to show you how to do that.
Okay.
Super easy. I just want to make sure that everyone understands these two settings of I have a green screen or mirror my video. Now this is me. I have a green screen. I have a green screen, and I'm going to show you what happens if I turn off that I have a green screen. It's going to take a second. I look roughly the same. I've got a little bit more pixelation around the outside, and my fingers disappear a little bit in certain areas. All right, but it's completely doable. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect for what you're doing, but you can really create connection with kids by being more interactive. This is, I did a language lab last week, and it was much easier for me to connect with kids that I had never met before by having the stuff in the background primarily, not exclusively, but primarily. So green screen is optional. I don't have an expensive green screen. I'm going to turn off my background for a second so you can see what my setup is. It's like a curtain, and I've got a curtain rod. I've got eye hooks, 2 tiny little eye hooks in my ceiling, and a little white string that hangs down and just suspends that. So when I'm done, I just take this curtain down. Okay, this was like a $15 investment on Amazon. You can get a tablecloth at the dollar store that's green. You can get, you know, a piece of cloth or a poster board. It doesn't have to be anything really. So Bettina, it depends on how old or new your computer is. Newer computers most likely won't need to have a green screen. They can function without it. So mine is working okay without the green screen, but I get a better experience with the green screen. So again, like you could buy a tablecloth at the dollar store and hang it up. It doesn't have to be, just like tape it to the walls and it'll be great. Okay? And you'd have great success with that. So going back now, so I like to mirror my video. I think it's easier. I have a green screen. I think it makes the experience just better. Now, here's how we talk, how we bring in the PowerPoint presentations to use in the background. I'm going to show you with a presentation that I use. And again, I'm going to share my desktop and it'll work this time. I have absolute faith. So I'm going to share my desktop and I'm going to show you, I'm going to open my Finder. Actually, I'll open Keynote. Okay, and I'm going to open, I'll open Spanish class. And I've got a million slides in Spanish class, if it'll open for me. Here it comes, it's thinking. Open la clase de español. There it is. Okay, so, okay. Now, I'm gonna move you guys off of that screen. Can you guys see my PowerPoint presentation now? Yes, thumbs up, yeah? Okay, perfect. Now, and I am gonna just make sure that I am seeing my chat. Sunny Ray, can you keep an eye on and see if anybody's in the waiting room for me? I just don't wanna leave anybody hanging if anybody shows up.
Do I have the ability to see your waiting room?
I thought you did, but I am
I don't
gonna
think
make
so.
you a co-host. And now you can.
Okay.
There you go, you're a co-host. All right, so here is my presentation. I've got a million slides in it. I can choose to use some of the slides or all the slides. One of the slides, it's your choice. What I do, now this will work for Google Slides, it will work for PowerPoint, it'll work for Keynote. I'm gonna show you with Keynote, but it works much the same way with all of them. The difference with Google is that you would download your presentation to your computer first and then use it with either PowerPoint or Keynote. So here I am in Keynote. I go to File, Export to. File, Export to, and I want to go to Images. File, Export to Images. Now, when I do that, it's going to ask me, I have all the choices. Do I want a PDF? I'm going to leave it with images. I can choose all of them, or I can select from. I can set a range. Like I want slides 1 to 10 or 15 to 20, whatever I want. I can select that, and I can either save it as a JPEG or a PNG. I usually save it as a PNG. I don't really have a good reason for that. I believe it's a smaller file. I could be completely wrong. Okay, so once I've chosen the file, I click next. It's going to ask me where I want to put it. And I am going to put it on my desktop today because it's easier for you to see it all. So I'm going to select desktop, and then I'm going to click export.
Where
Now,
would you recommend we put it?
well, what's an easy thing for you to find on your, is it documents? Like I save all of my stuff in the cloud so that I can access it from any computer that I'm at. If I know that I'm going to use something and delete it quickly, I do put it on my desktop. For me, I've got things set up in the cloud because I do work between multiple computers. I can log into the cloud from school on just through whatever my web browser is, and then I can on my laptop, or this is a desktop computer. So that's personal preference, but I would suggest creating maybe a file that wherever you decide to put it, whether it's in documents or desktop or what have you, that there's a file of these PowerPoint slides or slide images, however you do that. So now it has already created an individual image of each slide in my presentation. Now I'm going to go to, there it is. Do you see on my desktop here, I've got a file that's called La Clase de Español. If I open that, then I have every single slide from my presentation. It's a very long presentation. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. Now I'm going to come back, and I'm going to go now into my virtual backgrounds. I'm going to go back in now, just like I showed you how to set up your own virtual background. I'm going to click that little camera at the bottom, choose virtual background with that little arrow, little half caret, the arrow. And I'm going to hit that plus sign. Now, when I hit that plus sign and it says add image, I can now go to my desktop or wherever I've saved that file, and I can click Clase de Español, and I'm going to just control all. And then I click open, and it's going to put all of them, boom, 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 just that fast into my background. And then the beauty of it is the order that they're in the file is the order that they come in here. So now I can come to my slide, and I have every slide that I need right in the background. Would I need all these? No, I probably wouldn't download all of them, but I just wanted to show you how fast it was to get all of them there. Okay. Ask me a question. Who's got questions on this one? Anybody feeling wonky about it?
So
Yes,
is there,
Yeah.
Thea had one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when you set up your word wall, did you set that slide up keeping in mind that you would be in the middle of it and just set it up as text boxes around the edges?
Yes. So, yes. Yeah, so as you see, like, here's my old word wall. Here's my new word wall. Right? Because I'm not blocking it. Because I was going like this.
Yeah.
Look over there. Look over there. Right? So now I've been a little bit more decisive. You'll notice I have, for my word walls, for the language teachers that are here, I've done first and third person singular, and present tense, and most high frequency past tense. How did I
Super
change?
clever.
Okay, Laurie's got a great question. Did that help, Thea? That was it? Yeah? Okay. Laurie has a great question. You're very welcome. So Laurie, here's the thing. Do you know, so I described how to bump out the chat so you could continue to see the chat. You can bump out this or pop out your background thing. Everybody thinks, okay, I click choose virtual background. I choose my virtual background, and now I have to hit that little red dot and close it out. You don't. You don't at all. You can slide it, you can pop it out just like you did. All you do is you put your cursor over it, grab it, and slide it over to the side, and it'll stay open. So now I can watch myself basically in that preview on the virtual background pop out. I can see myself in there pretty much, and I have all of my slides there, and so I can just click from one to another to get the one that I want. Now, going back to Thea's question, I would rethink these slides before I shared these with my students, because it would be very easy to shift all this to one side and sit on the other side, right? So that's what I'm taking into consideration as I move forward with these slides when I input them, because it's just so much easier to sit here and talk to my kids and go, who, what, and point to the word and have it there. So I would just shift things so that I didn't block them with my body, because I do kind of want to be in the middle as much as possible, or yeah. Are these specific to Zoom meetings, or are, I am going to show you how to do this in a Google Meet in a moment. So hang in there. Teams can also do backgrounds. I don't know how to do Teams, and I have not used Teams, so I can't speak to that, but they're saying that you can do backgrounds. You just have to find the commands and the menus. All right, so let me pop out to Google Meet real quickly and show you how this would work in a Google Meet. And so I am going to, how am I going to do this? Let's see, what makes no sense. Okay, I've got a Google Meet going. I'm going to share a different screen with you. Okay, here's Google Meet over yonder hill. Are you guys all seeing the join or start a meeting there on Google Meet? Okay, I am really not a fan of Google Meet, but I can make this work. I know in my heart of hearts that I can make this work for you guys. So I'm going to join or start a meeting. I'm just going to put in Amy there, because I know some of you really have to do okay. So join now. And you see, it's not easy to do backgrounds in Google Meet. I would like my camera. Thank you. Oh, turned it off. Okay. So there is my camera. And so I've obviously got a different camera on that one. So I can go to my settings and I can change all that. Video. Okay. So now I'm using that same camera and it looks better. Okay. So I have downloaded, and this will be the first of many add-ons or extensions that I tell you to use if you're using Google Chrome. And it's called Visual Effects for Google Meet. If you want to do backgrounds, you have to get Visual Effects for Google Meet. It's free. And you should not have a problem with it. Sometimes our district blocks, and this is a good workaround. Sometimes my district blocks add-ons or extensions that I really want. And the way that I work around this is that I sign into the browser with my personal account and get the extensions I want with my personal account, but I'm logged into this meeting with my district account. And then I can use my extensions, okay? So that's one thing to consider. Now, visual effects is what you need, but you're also going to need, if what you are sharing with your students has words on it, it's gonna be flipped. Okay, so this is one reason why Google Meet is not as fun. You got some extra steps. And it's not as fast as Zoom because you're gonna have to do it one by one. All right, but again, create a folder, save them all so that you have them if you can reuse them. So it's called, and I'm gonna type it in the browser, Kapwing. Kapwing.com is, it's a free website. I mean, they've got paid stuff that you can get, but you don't need to do anything paid. Kapwing.com is just like a photo editor. And what you do is Kapwing.com, you'll create your free account. You'll click on New Project, start with Studio, and then click to upload. You've got to find the image that you need. So I'm just going to go and find one. Here, I'll just choose that one. Okay, it looks good there. Now, we need to adjust it. And if you see down at the bottom, we've got the flip. You can flip on Google Slides and all that good stuff. So you've got flip. There it is. Cancel that. Don't shut down my computer. That would be bad. Flip, and then you've got to publish and download it. Okay? That's all you got to do. You bring it into Kapwing, you flip it so it's backwards, and then you download it. And again, I'm going to put this on my desktop just so that we can check it out. And it does, JPEG's fine. Okay, so now I'm going back to my Google Meet. Once you get the add-on Google Visual Effects for Google Meet, you'll have to restart Google Meet. It won't I couldn't do it with this screen open and then go back in, so you might have to come out of it and go back in for it to show up, but it will show up. And you can blur your background. You can do all sorts of things, bubbles, contrast. It's got all sorts of fun things, but you don't need to do all that. What you need is green screen and virtual. So I'm gonna click virtual. I'm going to upload my background, and it's on my desktop. So let me find it. Here it is backwards. And I'm going to click green screen. I am going to check off green screen. Oops, there we go. And it's there. It's not fabulous, but it's there. My green screen, hold on. Maybe if I get rid of my green screen, hold on, let's see. Woo! It's better without my green screen. Give it a second. I've got a lot of light behind me. Let me try my other camera, because this is the reality of using Google Meet, is that you've got some stuff that you've got to play with to get it to work. And sometimes it's just a matter of finagling it. Sometimes I black out the windows. Sometimes I turn off the light. Yeah, that didn't work at all. Didn't like that one. Let's see. So, but that is how you would do it. And then it would be, going back, virtual. So for each background, you would have to go in one at a time to do it.
So if you wanted to use multiple backgrounds during your Google Meet, you would have to do this for each one.
Yes, so it would slow it down. But the one thing to consider, and see how slow, and I've got it. So let's give this a chance before we chalk it off as being awful. Look at how slow it is. It's because I'm doing a Zoom and a Google Meet. So yeah, give this a fair shake and try it out before you say this stinks. It's a bad option. Okay. Yeah, because it's really slow because everything's being demanded from Zoom. So consider that. So how would you, how would you deal with the one-by-one slides? You would have all of those slides in a very organized folder so that when you had to upload the picture, boom, you could go click on it and get right there. It's just not as seamless as Zoom, but it's a possibility. I also, I'm just gonna end that meet right now so that my computer gets happier.
I think probably the biggest issue that we would have as German teachers is most of us have at least 4 preps, different preps. So we would have to do this for each individual prep. So
yes. So, I mean, I have the same word wall for all of my classes. So, I mean, for me, it would be, I could certainly take it down and simplify it to first and third person, present and past. Right? And then there's 4 switches going on. It's not perfect, but I've got to be honest, the connection I made with kids doing this as opposed to sharing my screen and talking to them, showing them, where is my screen? Oh, there it is, it's back there. As opposed to showing them what I want them to look at, and, you know, it's just a completely different experience for them. Like, you've got to focus on me in a box and the paper that I want them to look at. It just splits their attention. And we all know splitting attention is not great. It takes, at any level, it takes a lot of work. So let's see, I'm just checking out the chat real quick. Session is recorded and I will share it. People are mentioning is a new platform that's coming out that's going to make this kind of thing super easy. I would recommend, and I'm going to type it in the chat. Well, who typed it in?
Laurie.
Yes. But will sync up with Google Meet. Will sync up with Zoom. And it'll be something that you can go through the 2. So it is, you can sign up to be a beta tester. It's called,
Is it a separate Like, is it a separate downloadable program? Because like we can't download anything onto our school computers.
I believe it's a website. I believe it's a website. I'm not positive yet, but I know, so, because I haven't been chosen as a beta tester yet, it's out in beta. When it comes out, it will definitely make things better. I don't know that it's a download because there's nothing for me to download. I think it's a website. Not positive.
Yeah.
Okay, can't give you a good answer to that.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes, so, but Microsoft Teams, I'm hearing Microsoft Teams, you can do the backgrounds. I don't have that information for you because I don't have Microsoft. My district doesn't use it. So I can't speak to that question. So this is, let's get any questions out of the way that we have on Zoom. Google Meet also. Do you have Google Meet Grid View? If you haven't already got Google Meet Grid View, that's an extension that you should have so that you can see the kids in the class in the grids just like we do here. So that's an important one to get, Google Meet Grid View. Okay. Let's, we're at 3:37, so I want to make sure I get on to a couple other things. Does anyone have any more Zoom questions? I think this is game changer for anyone. I mean, if you have to talk about a picture, like I do talk about pictures, I mean, like you could do that with any elementary school class. It's just so easy to be able to, you know, point. I can put, I don't put this much vocab up in my background. This was just like a dump for me, but just to show you with a picture, it's so much fun. The kids really do enjoy it and they can talk. And I have kids type their answers in the chat. You know, it's a good way to keep them on mute, but get them interacting with you. You know, how many animals do you see? Type an answer. And here's a good like clue, like get them, don't type your answer yet. Don't hit enter until I hit the bottom and boom, then they all hit enter. So they're not seeing the answer and typing what everybody else has. Teach them to follow your signal. And when it comes down, hit enter. Okay. And that way you can kind of time everybody to give their answers at the same time and get a more realistic view of what they're understanding. Give them a math problem. If you're a math teacher, give them a math problem and don't hit enter until blah. Okay. Break it. Yeah, go ahead, Sunny.
Taya would like to know, do you know a way to annotate on Zoom?
I do not, I mean, no. No. But I mean, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, if I'm gonna, I'll take my document into a Google slide and work there if I have to share a screen. But once it's up behind, like if you mean like up behind me, like once it's done, it's done. You know, so I can't draw on that or change it or add to it. But I could go in. You can with a Zoom Ed account. You can annotate your backgrounds. Tara, you can annotate.
Hold on. Where am I? I just learned today that students can annotate. I don't know if we can or not.
Students can, yes, because you know what? And this brings back a terrible memory of my very first Zoom class online, and a student took over that was all in the setting.
Oh.
Took over my screen and drew all over my picture. That's true. Yeah, a student can definitely annotate. It's not as pleasant. Anyway, yeah, so I would imagine there is, and that it's probably in the settings. But the settings outside of the meeting on your main page.
I think if you share your screen, you can annotate. You can't do it on your background, but you should be able to do it on your screen.
Yeah.
And there's ways to like, it looks like kind of the old school trying to draw with a mouse.
Yes,
digital
yes.
signature. It's quite terrible.
Right, because there is a
but
whiteboard.
you can at least circle things and put little, stars by them or whatever.
Right. Yes. Thank you for that.
I highly recommend that you get that off of their ability, because kids can do it too, and they'll mess things up. I had that happen in the spring.
Right, that's what I was just saying. In my first Zoom class, they took it over and did that.
Yeah.
So I took away their ability to annotate, I rarely use any of that on there because I more heavily rely on typing on the screen. The other thing I want to show you is that, and I'm going to stop share so you can see, I want to show you. Okay, so now, what if I want to write, right? I've got this background. All I have to do is I swivel my computer screen, and here I am, and I can come right over here with my marker, and I can write right here for my students. So now I've got my green screen. I'm still here with them. I've got, and my setup, once again, I will turn off my green screen so that you can see what I'm doing here. I've just rotated my computer, my camera, my monitor, so that now my whiteboard is visible. I can write, do whatever I want. And then when I'm ready to go back to whatever my background is, I just come back over here so it's out of the way. It's just me turning ever so gently. Okay, so that's another really good option, and you can do that easily with Google Meet, you know? So you could have your word wall on that and turn that way and do whatever you need on that. I did learn that from Diane Neubauer, who's one of the most amazing language teachers. She's fabulous. She teaches Chinese. She's teaching me Chinese. Very cool. So, so that's that. Now I would like to take a moment and let's talk about, would you like to talk about Google Slides and what we can do with Google Slides? Would that be helpful? Or does anybody else have burning questions about the actual platform we're presenting on?
You have a question that says, does anyone here use Webex?
I have not used Webex. No, anybody? Shout out into the in there if you do, and we'll come back to you. I don't know anything. Natalie Walker does. And is Webex? It's like a Google, like a Google Meet or like a Zoom. Is that what it is? Feel free to take yourself off mute.
It's not very good. I don't recommend it. It's just what we were asked to use. I think some teachers have used Zoom. I didn't like manipulating the little drawing features, things like that. I found them clunky and hard to use.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I don't know anything about it, so I can't.
Okay, I just thought I would ask. Thank you.
Okay.
Same for us. We are required to use it, but I'm not very happy with it, but we have to use that one.
All right.
Okay, well, if you want to chat, Natalie, about things we learn about it, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll look into it and see if I can find anything out. Okay, so now let's talk about Google Slides then. And I have one ready. Let's see, Google Slide. Let me share the Google Slide and let's talk about how we can create assignments for students using Google Slides, because Google Slides is really very versatile if you get comfortable with it. And I think a lot of it comes down to figuring out how to set up your page. So I've just opened a blank Untitled presentation and I go to File and Page Setup. Now, all I'm going to try to do right now is show you how to create a reusable, a fillable worksheet for students. Okay? How to create a fillable worksheet for students. So I need to set up my screen in Google Slides so that it's the size of a paper. All right, 7.5, 8.5, what is it? Oh gosh, can you tell my brain is done? Custom, 8, what is it? 7.5, 8, 7.5. What's the paper size? Anybody want to tell me? 7.5, 11?
It's 8.5 by 11.
Thank you. My brain just completely fried. 8.5 by 11. Now, if I want to do landscape, I would just reverse those numbers. All right. So here we go, inches, and I apply. So now I have a piece of paper. Now, what I would do is I would bring in an image. And I have screenshotted one. So I'm going to, okay, get an image, upload from computer. I'm going to go to my desktop, which is where I have it. And I'm just going to bring in, this is just a random worksheet. And I'm going to make my worksheet the size of my paper. All right. Now you could do multiple choice. You could do matching. You could do whatever you want to do. But what I would do here, that's my paper. Okay. Now I'm going to save that. Okay. And then, because I don't want my kids to be able to use this, right? I don't want my kids to be able to destroy this and accidentally, actually, I just lied to you. I didn't want to input the image. I knew something was wrong there. I was like, that won't work. I have to make that my background.
Background.
My background. Yeah. My brain is, here we are at the end of, so I bring my file in there. So I apologize for that. So you're going to make it your background. Makes much more sense. There you go. And then it sets it up perfectly. Now it's my background. So now the kids can't destroy that because it's your background. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my text boxes for my students, right? So I can add in a text box for them to answer. And best thing to do, because they're all going to mess it up, is type answer here. Because they're all going to go, it won't let me do it. I know what to do. Just type there. So then and then all I do is like control copy and control V. Oh, and then I just slide them down.
Slide them down.
Right? So then I put a box in every single one and I save this as the title of my worksheet. And then when it's time to assign it to the students, you can say, make a copy for each student.
Right.
And then they'll type their answers in. So now you don't have to go through, like, this is much less work than creating your whole new worksheet, right? I've taken a screenshot of my worksheet and just made it my background on my Google slide. Now another, go ahead.
Didn't you find in the spring that kids just took the worksheet and shared it with everybody and put their name on it and forwarded it? Like one person did it and it became a shared doc that all
I only had that happen a couple times.
Oh, okay.
I only had it happen a couple times, and I mean, I'm tricky. I always put in something that'll trip them up. You know, I always put something in there that's going to tip me off real easily if they've copied it from somebody else.
Okay.
Right? Like somewhere in the middle, like, what's your name?
So is this a document that you would share out on your classroom or something that they have to fill out and then submit to you?
Yes.
Okay. But could you also do this as an activity to test them during a Zoom meeting and they could type in the answers? Like you say, okay, Johnny, you've got number one, or you just to see how they're doing?
Sure.
Or will they not be able to type in?
Yes, absolutely you could. Absolutely. Okay. Yes.
Can they type into that on a shared screen?
I don't, my brain is trying to sort through my files. I do not think.
So you can have a live document like this, because I know what she's talking about, and I do this with when I present onto my smartboard.
Because they all have to be editors.
Right. So I have one that I call first hour, one that I call second hour, one that I call third hour. And then I just put that one up there. And so I do it when we're practicing using descriptions. So everybody drop a descriptor word in the box, you know, in your box next to your, I'll do it with their names. Like their names are all there. They just find their name. They have to write their descriptor. And then you can see the whole thing because the whole class, it's shared with the whole class. We're all working on the same document. So
Okay.
Yeah.
you just have to be careful that you make a copy and you have a copy for each class, that you don't put your original one up there, because then you're going to be deleting it every single time.
Yeah. Another thing that makes me think of is Padlet. You could certainly create a Padlet that has a prompt and questions, and they're all like, you know, like a box for each question that you want to ask, and everyone's answering and putting in their answers.
Okay.
Padlet is a great, and it's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, I mean, that's one thing. I wanted to show you another, which was, what am I doing? Add a new slide. And I'm going to change my page setup. I'm going to go File, just because the paper I'm going to use is going to be 11 by 8.5. So it's going to be landscape. And what you could do, I'm going to make my background. Close that out. Okay, background. I'm going to choose my image, and I'm going to put in, it's a maze. And so I bring in the maze. And basically the point of this one is that students have to find their way through the maze with the language. Whatever kind of maze you do, you can create the shapes for them. So like you could make this your background and share it out for them to work through the maze. And if you were going to use it as a worksheet, like you might use, like if they need to do, let's see, your studio. So they would need to go this way. So I might do, oh, wait, I added an object. Good gravy. Want to add a line. So I would add a line here, and then I could decide how big a line, like I want, right? We'll go super fat, and then I want it, I'll make it real light with the color, see-through, right? So that they could put that there, right? And they could work their way through it. But here's what I'm saying. You could make a bunch of lines going a bunch of different, like I could do copy and put a whole bunch of them. Oh, my fingers, control copy, so that I could just go and make a whole bunch of those so that a student could drag one for there, and if they had to go straight through, they could drag one for there, right? And you have them all over on the side. You could draw a straight one, up and down, of the varying lengths, and just draw a whole bunch of them so that the students can grab whatever they need and just drag it to the one that they need it to go to find their way through the, do you see what I'm saying? Like it would be so easy, and then you just have to like know the path and gaze at it. Super easy. And then I would just put instructions here on the side. They'll see all of that. They'll see all of that. You put the instructions right here on the side, grab the necessary line to follow your way through the maze. Boom, boom, boom. Give them a bunch of different line shapes to work with, and they just work their way through.
Okay, so just from the chat, there's a couple of things. So Nikayla says that in Google Classroom, there's now a feature for you can check to see if kids are sharing their document and everyone else just copying it.
Look at that.
Nice.
Taya says that DocHub is another way for kids to insert answers. You start with a PDF and a free account at DocHub. Tara says, I fill the answer boxes with yellow. So she highlights each box in yellow. So the kids know where to type their answers, and it's easier for her then to grade it.
That's a great idea.
She said insert learning is great, but it's not free.
Okay.
Naya says that she has a question about Padlet on their website. She saw that it costs $12 a month. Which one is the free version?
So if I go to Padlet.com, Padlet, it's sign up for free.
Right, but Taya says that the free Padlet only has so many pads for free.
Yes, but you don't need an unending number of pads. You finish with a pad, you delete it. And then you can,
So the pads are used by the teacher, not the students?
The students, so you create a pad and the students comment on it.
Oh, okay.
Think of a Padlet as a gigantic pin board. and
Okay.
people get to just pin their thoughts and opinions to it. So, and you can set restrictions of how much access the students have to play on the Padlet, but it's a great option. Thank you, Dawn, for the 8.5 by 11. I saw
Okay.
that. My brain is so. Yes, I'm very excited that Google Classroom has a way to check the sharing. I think that's just exciting news. Exciting news. So yeah, so the Padlet, you don't pay for Padlet. Don't pay for Padlet. Yeah, just use those same 3 and recycle them. I've only ever used 1. You know, 1 or 2 max. Yes, oh yes, and you can save the content for later. So Dawn, are you paying for Padlet then? Unmute yourself.
No, I'm not paying for Padlet.
So how are you creating 4, 1 for each level?
I'm not sure how I did it, but I did it.
Dawn, you clever woman.
I know. I don't know how, because I think when I signed up, they were allowing like up to 5.
Oh, you got grandfathered.
Do they only allow 1 now?
You can have 3 now.
For those of us who teach 5 different things.
Yes.
So I would have 1 for level 1, 1 for level 2, and then I would have a combined 1 for level 3 and 4 probably.
Yeah.
I have 2 full classes of each and totally different curriculum, but
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
Yeah, I would also recommend looking for, there is nothing like Googling apps or websites like, and you'll be amazed at what you come up with. Websites like Padlet, apps like.
So here's the other thing you can do is if you work with not Excel or Google Sheets, you create a Google Sheet, you put your kids' names down the side here, and then, well, the top line you leave open, so that way you can put in the question of the day or whatever it is that you want them to answer. Their names are down here, they go to their cell, they type it in. If you want to save that, then you just save it, or you just make a new copy and put in a new question for the next day. It's like a Padlet, but it's something that you can make as many as you want.
Yeah. Honestly, so that's just real quickly, I know we're running out of time and I don't want to keep everybody all day. So that's just one idea of how you can use Google Slides to really, create something easy. I love the idea, and this was from Ashley Mickelson, Senorita Spanish, who's got a great blog and great ideas just about teaching with tech. But it's just creating a box of every different shape that you need for your students to connect things, or a line to connect things that they can just drag and drop. Makes it even easier for them. You want to create it make it as stress-free as possible. Last thing I want to talk about is Flippity, which is an awesome free tool. Such an awesome free tool. So much you can do with it, and you're only bound by your creativity. Whatever you can imagine, you can make with Flippity. The random name picker, and with Flippity, for those who aren't familiar with it, they'll give you a demo of what it is, and it's like of how the game works, instructions on how to do it, and then you can click template, and it'll force a copy, and you can create your own. And what I do, I'm gonna do the demo just so that you can see. It's great. It's a wheel that you can spin to pick a student. Now, I use this one for a lot of reasons, not just for students, but it's a great way to pick students. And let me show you. You can do spin the wheel. You can do single name and sort through. Yes, so you don't have to do it with names. So yes, as far as saving it to the web. Lineup, right? Groups of 2, groups of 3, groups of 4. It's great for making teams. And if you're only using first names, that's all I ever put in is first names. Yeah. So it's a great way. I mean, if you seating chart, whatever. It's like, it also does a fun thing like you can do, they does fun things with names. Randomizer, fun with words. It'll make all your students' names into fun word things, and you can choose different patterns for them. Just, you know, if you're ever looking for stuff to do. But I use it also to put in my activities, right? If there's a list of activities like or games, I'm big on brain breaks. I teach for 7 to 10 minutes and then we break. 7 to 10 minutes and then we take a break. So I have a list of all of the running ones that we use in class. And then I go, okay, time for a brain break. Let's spin the wheel. That in and of itself is a brain break. I spin, what's it gonna be, what's it gonna be, what's it gonna be? Yeah, it's very exciting. And then, woo, we're gonna play that game. All right, quick, boom, boom, we're up, we're down, we're back into the class. It breaks up the time in the, just staring at the screen. That just, you know. So I do that, and then it's a spreadsheet. So like Sunny Ray was saying about the Google Sheets, it's a Google Sheet. So as my brain breaks change, or as I add some or take some out, I just adjust the list and boom, the link's ready and it's all changing. Could I share my brain breaks? I will share my brain breaks. I have a document, and how am I gonna share it to everybody in this group? Because not everybody is in the same one.
Can you upload it as a file in the group itself?
I can share it, yeah, but we've got a lot of people in here that are not in the group.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I will share it on my Facebook page and in the group, because everybody that's here knows me from the Facebook group. If you're not, I will also share my email, and you can reach out to me if you do not have access to me on Facebook. So it's Zona de Profes. Oh, I spun the wheel. Oh, sorry, I'm spinning the wheel. Oh my goodness. Come back over here, my little thing. Okay. I'm gonna stop this share and get back over here. I got too many things open on my screen. Okay.
Could you maybe type your email address?
I just got it. Thank you though. At gmail.com. So zonadeprofes@gmail.com. And I will share any of that with you. So I'm sharing that. Love the wheel. Yeah, so the wheel is fun, and they have randomizers as well. So like I make stories up with my students, and just to share one last time, and then I will let you all run free. With Flippity, you can do this randomizer. It's a new activity on it, and the demo is, please, that's not it. Yep. Okay. Demo, there we go. Okay, so it's a wheel that you can spin and create a story with students. So it's so fun. I do this with vocabulary that we're doing in class, and make up silly stories. You could do this with any level of vocab. Oh my gosh, think about teaching elementary and you've got vocab words. So easy it would be to make, you know, all these, and I just create a whole bunch of who's that they would know, funny characters that they would know, whatever my vocab is. I use days of the week or months of the year, and then a place that they go to. And so fun. And so I'm doing them in Spanish. I have them translate them. But it might be fun for a dictation or for anything. Like you spin the wheel and go, all right, write this down, and have them practice. So lots of fun ideas. And you can change how many columns there are. So, I mean, I could do this with 2 columns. I could do it with 5 columns. It's your choice, because once again, it's a spreadsheet and you just input the information.
Dawn says that she just looked and she can tell us how she did 4 Padlets on one account.
Tell me, Dawn. Dawn, share the wisdom.
Okay, basically what I did was opened my Padlet. I opened one Padlet, and what I did was I set up like 4 different little note things for my each levels, and then I just add everything into what I want for each level. And then I just keep adding on and subtracting and however I want to do it.
So you have one big Padlet, and inside that one Padlet, you're creating a little board, like a mini board inside a big board.
Yeah.
Big brain, Dawn. That's awesome. Thank you. Cool. All right. Anyone else?
Can I ask probably a very basic question about the Google Classroom Bitmoji page? I finally created one last week and linked it to various resources, but I'm relatively new to Google Classroom and the whole Google, and we still haven't gotten word that that's the official platform we're going to use.
Yeah.
Board meeting this week. But if it is, where do you put that on your classroom page? Do you have to keep putting it at the top? How do people utilize that? Where does it?
I have it set as my banner on
Okay.
the Classroom, and it'll take some finagling with the page set up to figure out exactly what the dimensions are for it.
Okay.
And then I also used it as my assignment. My Google Classroom had my links in it.
That's what I was hoping to do also.
And then I would attach the Google slide to as their assignment. And then it would, once they opened that, they would get all the do this, do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I did was I shared it as I attached it as an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, open the slide, put it in present mode, and follow the links to, click on any of the things and follow the links to whatever it is that, so like if I had my Duolingo thing. So I had a logo for Duolingo. If the kids clicked on that while the slide is in present mode, it takes them to my Duolingo class.
Do you ask that the kids just keep it always up in present mode? That way, if you change something on it, it's changed and fixed for them? Or do they have to, I guess that's my thing is, do you constantly have to put it at the top of your classroom for kids to open up?
So
you can just move it up to the top.
So listen, in Google Classroom, it's much easier to create an assignment. Don't put it in your feed. It's like having to surf through somebody's page to find a post. And it's really hard to follow that. But if you open Google Classroom and go to class and assignments and put it in assignments, then it's much easier for them to locate and to deal with.
But you can, just so you know, you can also, like if you have something that's due, so like on Mondays, I would post one document that had everything they were supposed to do for the week in it with all embedded links. And then on Tuesday, when I posted something, my bonus content or whatever, I would just move that initial Monday post to the top. And it's all you do is click on it and say move to top. And I would just do that so that the first thing they always saw when they opened their Google Classroom was the one document that had all of their assignments for the week on it.
With everything embedded in it.
Yep.
So
wonderful. Thank you.
If you look at my Google Classroom real quickly, the stream gets muddy, especially if kids start commenting on it.
Yeah.
It gets muddy, and so the just going to classwork, and then in classwork you can create topics. And so like if you're doing math, if you're a multi-subject teacher, you've got math, you've got ELA, whatever you're teaching, science, then you can create a topic. If I create an assignment, then I create my assignment, I can create a topic, and boom, boom, boom. So the students just need to go to to assignments, to classwork, to find what's due and how to do that.
When your Bitmoji is at the top, your banner, is it still embedded?
No.
Can they click on things?
No.
No, it can't be embedded. Okay.
It's just a picture. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be helpful if it were, because then all the resource things could just be right there.
Yeah. But this is like, if you're looking on my screen, this is an example of my my Google Classroom. This was my virtual with my Bitmoji classroom. They click on that link, and it takes them to presentation mode. This is a link to the picture. Once they've watched the movie or listened to the story that I tell, they have to click on exit ticket, and it'll take them to the exit ticket, and they fill it out. If they're having fun and they got nothing else to do, there's 9 million links in it that they can follow to do
other things.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Question, follow up on that same image, if you don't mind pulling it back up.
Yeah.
So I've started poking around and trying to do a Bitmoji classroom like this.
It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is.
It's an evil
So
rabbit hole.
I guess I think my question is, any words of wisdom for making it navigable so the kids know where to click as opposed to random click fest, and that's all kinds of fun, but actually knowing where to go. Like exit ticket's super clear. I would not have assumed the dog was a movie unless my teacher told me so.
So going back to my instructions, and this was the downfall, was that they were not reading these instructions, and everything they needed was right here. Read the instructions. And they're like, I did the assignment. I'm like, you did number one. You opened the Google slide. Go on, do something else. Open the Google slide, click on the picture on the whiteboard to watch the video. It will open another tab for the video. When you finish watching the video, return to the Google slide, and on the whiteboard, click exit ticket. Fill out the Google form thoroughly to get credit for watching the video. This was where they tried, because I also had a reading that they would have to do that was the same vocabulary, but a different story. And then this is how I would catch them, because they would read the story and do the worksheet and fill out the exit ticket as if the story was the same as the movie. Sorry, gotcha!
I feel like we start in 2 weeks, and I feel like my first 2 weeks is going to just be explaining to them how to navigate all of this that we're putting out there and getting them tuned in.
Spend the time teaching them how to navigate and getting to know them.
Yeah.
Build the relationships, because if you build the relationships, they'll do the stuff for you. You know?
It has been interesting. In the spring, I found I would spend a ton of hours on an assignment, and then I would write up, like you did, these very specific, and I was like, this is very clear. They're going to get it. And invariably within an hour, I'd get a kid, I don't understand what you mean by, like, oh, how much clearer could I have written it?
Right. And what I got to tell you is I spent tons of time sending emails, but the emails were received best when I said, hey, what's up? I noticed you need to do this assignment. Are you okay? Do you need help? Can I support you? Is there anything I can do for you? And those emails were responded to immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay. Thanks for checking. I messed up. I'll go back and fix it. I got that. I mean, so, you know, A Spoonful of Sugar. It's a great movie.
Yep.
And if you spend the time that first week or 2 weeks, then it saves so much time throughout the rest of the school year.
Just like the classroom.
Yeah.
So it's just like classroom. Like if you were in the classroom, if you're in the classroom, you're going to have classroom expectations. We can't assume that kids know what our classroom expectations are. We literally have to teach them from the very beginning. And then just to continue to re-emphasize that. And I do, like, I also teach my kids my rubric. I have one rubric that I use for speaking. I have one rubric that I use for writing. And I teach them how to use the rubric. What does it mean? And then that saves me tons of time later, because then I can have them peer edit and I don't have to explain everything because we've already used the rubric. They used it on their own work. Now they can help somebody else, you know.
Establishing the routines and more importantly, establishing the relationships is what you need. I'm going to real quickly give you a list of Google extensions that make my life much better.
All right.
All right. And then we're going to finish this. The Google Classroom extension. So you you click it and it pops up. That's easy. Tab scissors and tab glue. Tab scissors and tab glue allows you to split your screen. So I can go like this and split my screen so that I'm seeing two screens. And then tab glue allows me to glue it back together, right? But I've got my screen is small. So I can then tab, and what I do is this is my new computer, so tab glue, and it'll join them right back together. So tab scissors, tab glue. Talk and comment. If you see on my screen, I've got this little microphone that'll pop up. Any Google, do you see the little microphone? Okay, so any assignment that they do, if you want to give them a verbal response instead of typing.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Click on it, boom, you can talk and they'll hear you talk. Hey, I like what you're doing here. Why don't you try blah, blah, blah.
And what's it called?
It's called Talk and Comment.
Okay.
There's one called Turn Off the Lights. Super great. If you're using a YouTube video or any video, you click on it, it's a little light bulb icon right here. It's not, yeah, there you go. Turn off the lights. It dulls anything that's not video. So like all the other outside stuff, like the playlist on the side of your video or whatever, it'll all turn it black so that they just see the video. Turn off the lights, really good. I have a tab for Google Drive. I have one for my Bitmoji, so I can add my Bitmoji in. We've already talked about Google Meet Grid View, and we talked about visual effects for Google Meet. Alice Keeler Classroom Split. Alice Keeler Classroom Split. Now watch what it'll do for me. I'm gonna click the button on my extension, and here we go. It split my classroom on one side and my Drive on the other. It just all of a sudden pops up Drive, but splits it side by side. So I can see I can see my Google Classroom on one side and whatever other thing, my browser's on the other.
And what's that called?
That's called Alice Keeler, Keeler, Classroom Split. And I like that one because I can just boom, bring up Google Classroom and be ready to go. Screenshot YouTube. So if you want to do a movie talk or talk about a video from YouTube, it's screenshot. So you can click on it and it'll just screenshot. Every time you click the button, it'll screenshot in the YouTube video, but just the video. So you can easily create a slideshow with just images from the thing. Super easy. That's screenshot YouTube. And then the last one is the Emoji Keyboard. So you can add emojis to your stuff when you got the keyboard there to share with students. As you're typing in, you can add your smiley faces or whatever you want to add in. Those are the ones I can't live without. There's a lot that I can live without, but those I can't. Okay. So I thank you all for coming. I really held you a lot longer than I planned to. This was like supposed to be just an hour and we kept going. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me, zonadeprofes@gmail.com. I am on Facebook. I'm on YouTube, dmsspanish.weebly.com. This video will be put out there and I will share it on the Facebook group and I will get my brain breaks out to everyone. Okay? Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Adios.